This is a video about how to make connections and friends when you're the quiet person. Just to preface, I am often very quiet in social situations, especially when I don't know people very well. I think recently I've been able to kind of get out of my shell and talk more. But the point of this video is not to say that quiet people should change how they behave, because I don't think that's true. I think that if you're generally more quiet and you don't talk as much as other people, it's not necessarily something that you need to change. But I will say it does create specific challenges for you, and there are drawbacks, and there's also a lot of benefits to being the quiet person. I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about how to use that as a superpower in conversation and in friendship, because you can either be the outcast, the person that like no one talks to, no one knows how to talk to, or you can be the person that people tell things to and they feel like you can really validate and listen to them. And it's a balance. Like in life, there's a lot of things, there's good and bad things. And I just wanted to talk about that and talk about how I kind of handle that in life. So I was at this job and I wasn't even the quietest person there. I was pretty quiet and people would make kind of jokes about it. But I noticed that like, if you're the quiet person, it kind of makes people uncomfortable. Sometimes like I would hear jokes about like, oh, why aren't you talking? Like, don't you have anything to say? Like, there's always sort of like the butt of the joke if you're the quiet person, where people joke about it. And I think in a way they're trying to invite you into the conversation. But I think also people are not comfortable with you being comfortable with silence, if that makes sense. Like they're kind of like, why aren't you saying anything? And there are some costs to being the quiet person. Like you feel a little bit on the outside of everything. You feel like once you've gotten comfortable with the environment and the situation, you feel like you can't suddenly start talking and trying to engage more once you've found your rhythm, because everyone kind of knows you as a quiet person. So if you change, it's kind of weird, like they're not really sure of your personality and how you interact with people. I think also something that's not so great about being the quiet person is people think that you're kind of a pushover. Like they think that they can kind of like low-key bully you, make fun of you, and you won't say anything just because you're quieter. And if you're quiet because maybe of anxiety, not just because it's your personal preference, people might assume that it's like they think that they have a problem, like that you have a problem with them, but really it's just you being in your own head and not really knowing what to say. People kind of assume that you don't really have an ego. Like I've been told several times like, oh, like you're so easy to be around, like you don't cause drama, like in the chaos of all these conflicting personalities, you're just like a calm person that doesn't cause problems. And I'm like, okay, do I need to like change that? Do I need to start causing drama? Because like being easygoing and quiet and just like, yeah, it's nice for other people because they know that you won't really cause drama. But the thing is, like, it's not that you don't have opinions or thoughts about what's going on or situations. It's just that you're interpreting them and acting differently than other people. And that's not necessarily a good or bad thing. I don't know. And then people also just try to force conversation onto you when you're not really wanting to talk to them, and it's awkward. And it's like, I don't know. I have I have a big pet peeve of people trying to force conversation onto other people. I think maybe sometimes people aren't really good at reading social cues and they don't realize that you don't want to talk to them, but you are not like obligated to talk to people, and I think people should be okay with that. So those are some of the downsides of being the quiet person that I've experienced. I've seen other people experience it too, but the bottom line is that being the quiet person can be your superpower, and you don't have to change if you don't want to. Like, you are allowed to move through the world in the way that you feel most comfortable. If it's from social anxiety, maybe you can do things to work on that, but some people are just genuinely quieter and talk less, and that's like, okay. Like, it's kind of funny because I feel like I'm like a quiet extrovert, where it's not that I like talking to people all the time, but I like being around people and I like the energy. But then it's weird for people that I'm not talking as much because I'm the quiet person, and it's just like, it's difficult to navigate those two things where I love being around people, but I don't love talking all the time. And sometimes I love talking too much, and it's like, I think that people are multifaceted. You're going to be a different person at work versus like with your family versus friends. Like, it's okay to have different sides of yourself and to have different levels of talkativeness. So now let's talk about 3 ways you can use being like the quiet person to your advantage. The fact that you are quieter allows you to view the world around you in great detail. That includes people. Observe how people talk, what they talk about, who they talk to, what they reveal, and what their body language is communicating. As the quiet person, I feel like I'm always observing people and their body language and their interactions and how they choose to communicate. And okay, I'm not gonna say that I'm Sherlock and I can read that your mind, that you're no. I'm not saying that I'm a super genius that is world class at interpreting body language, but I will say that I have noticed that I pick up on things that some people don't, just because instead of talking, I'm kind of busy looking and observing and listening. And I get a lot of information that if I was busy talking, I would not have known. So that's one thing. The power of observation is really, it's insane what you can start to pick up on if you just start looking. Let's be honest. No one enjoys talking to a super self-obsessed person who is only thinking about their own thoughts and in their head, and they don't even have a concept of what's going on around them. That's the probably more maladaptive way of being a quiet person, where you're just in your head so much that you can't even see the world around you. So if you are more quiet, I would really challenge and encourage you to take your focus away from you and project it towards the world around you, because there's so many interesting things that you can learn about people and places and environments and social hierarchy. It's really interesting and fun, and I feel like that's one thing that I've really benefited from being the quiet person in the room. Second point, listening. This goes back to you can't be self-centered and quiet. You kind of have to pick one. I know it's annoying. I am a very self-centered person. I'm always thinking about myself, about what I look like, about how I sound, about my thoughts. And it's you can't be both. You have to pick one, because I think being absorbed in your own thoughts, in your own world, is fine, but you also have to step out of it eventually. Practice finding genuine enjoyment and cultivate a powerful curiosity when you listen to people. People can sense that in you and will deeply appreciate it. People are so, including me, people are so drawn to the person who will listen to them. And not just be yeah, but active, active listening. Everyone's heard that. People, I feel so great when someone is genuinely listening to the thoughts I'm spewing, and I can tell that they have genuine curiosity and interest in what I'm saying. And that's something that a lot of people, I feel don't get to experience on a day-to-day basis. It takes some emotional energy, I'm going to admit, to be the person listening. You have to be listening and have genuine interest and ask questions and observe. It's a lot. It can be a lot, especially if you have a low social battery. But the power of listening and asking interesting questions and just letting the person talk and actually listening and remembering what they say. That makes people feel so good. It makes me feel so good. It makes everyone that I know feel so good. And I will be honest, I told one of my coworkers one time, I never listen to people and get bored. There's not a conversation where I'm oh, this is boring. It might be hard to follow. I might be on low energy, so it's hard for me to really keep up, listening and being active participant in the conversation. But I'm never bored. People aren't boring to me. There's always something interesting about a conversation or the person. Again, you can't be being someone who's self-obsessed and not caring about other people or how they think or how they operate. It's a really bad combination if you're also quiet. And no one likes the loud person who's self-obsessed either. No one either side of the spectrum, it is not pleasant to be around, especially in conversation. So I think, again, turning the focus away from you onto the other person and learning about them is powerful, and people like it, and people remember that you do that. I know that I remember the person who's let me ask you a question about yourself, and maybe it's interesting, maybe it's exciting, maybe it's just where are you from? But I remember those people, and I also remember the people who are yeah, I don't know. Anyway, about me. Those people are not fun to be around. And it's different situations. I think this video is more explaining in social situations where you're trying to get closer to people and find friends. This is not talking about a scenario where you have a deep connection with someone already. I think that's very different. I think that if you have a deep emotional connection, either in friendship or in a romantic relationship, you both need to be the listener, you both need to be the observer, you both need to be the talker, and you both need to give and take and be willing to turn the focus on you and then turn it on them. That's completely different than like more of a casual social setting where you're just trying to, you know, you're trying to make friends, you're trying to make genuine connections. That's very different than an already established emotional connection. The last thing you can do, it's very easy, but again, people will remember it. I remember it when this happens to me, is validating the emotions or just the thoughts of the person that's talking. It's so easy, and like people love it. Like feeling validated is feels amazing. Like I think that's an aspect of active listening that maybe people don't really remember, at least when I hear people talk about it. Like validating the person and what they're saying. It's like, yeah, the weather is shitty today, yeah, it was cold, or like, you know, I have a whole video about why complaining is good actually, and I talk about the power of validating, because I think when it comes down to it, no matter like the kind of person that you are, whether you're quiet or loud, whether you're talkative or more introverted or more extroverted, I think the power to truly observe, listen, and validate, you can pretty much, like, that's what you need to do to make people remember you and also be like, that was a cool person. And I'm not saying that I'm like a master at any of these things. I'm saying this partly through observation. Like I remember the people that validate me, that listen. Those are the people that I want to be around. Those are the people that I want to talk to, whether they're quieter or louder. It doesn't really matter. And I like all kinds of people. Like as a quieter person, I am actually drawn to really talkative people. I have trouble making a video longer than like 9 minutes because I'm like, okay, I've said everything I need to say. Anyways, but I love people who talk. I love it because I get to like learn about them, and it's fun and interesting and like sparks curiosity. So I think if anything, just remembering the 3 points I mentioned: observe, listen, and validate. And I think that as a quiet person, you have a unique way of doing those 3 things that maybe people don't really know about, that I've been able to kind of use to connect with people better. Again, I'm not an expert. This is just me as a quieter person living my life, learning how to be a little bit more socially aware. I didn't have any friends as a teenager. I'm not sure what I'm doing, but I do know that this has kind of worked for me, and it makes me feel good when people do it for me. So hopefully this is helpful. I also want to make a video, like a love letter to the talkative people, to the loud people, because I don't think they get enough love, okay? I think everyone is on like the introvert train, like all the introverts are like, yeah, we're introverted, and like we're so different and cool, and you are, but extroverts and loud people are also different and cool, and I love being around them. I think I'm more introverted. I don't know, as a more like quiet introverted person, I love the extroverts. You guys give me energy, you guys give me like the zest of life. Like you guys are so fun to be around, and I love listening to you, and I love hanging out with you. So if you are an extrovert or a louder person listening to this video, I want to let you know that I also love being around you. And yeah, I love the more energetic loud people. They just bring, they are the glue that makes like a social interaction just more fun to me. But yeah, that's basically all I had to say. I do want to make a video about that, but not right now. If you're still watching this video, I want to ask, what is something you've observed as the quiet person? If you are a quiet person, like what's something that you've been able to observe through that perspective? I'm really curious to know. Thank you for watching my videos. Check out my why complaining is good actually video if you're interested. You can subscribe, you don't have to, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.